ladies, thanks for joining me on this week's episode. This week I'm posting another patient testimonial. In just a minute you're going to hear from a real patient who has received the Juliet Laser treatment. She's a 60-year-old patient who had significant pain with intercourse and vaginal dryness, and she not only got hormone pellets with estrogen and testosterone as well as progesterone, but also decided to do the Juliet Laser, and you can hear her story here. It's really powerful to hear from a real patient about how well these techniques work, so I'm really excited to share it with you. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for agreeing to join me to share your story. You know, it's wonderful to share real patient testimonials so that other women can find out what's available in menopause.
Well, I'm happy to do it, and I hope it's helpful.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll share with the audience that they can't see your face, and it's unbelievable, but you're actually 60. Is that right?
I'm 60.
Yeah, and you look absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
But tell me what led you to first come in to see me. You've been a patient for just about a year.
Yes, well, prior to that, first of all, I had a very bad menopause, kind of like, the classic terrible hot sweats and hot flashes and all of that, especially during the work day when I was at work, which I work at a corporation in a professional job, and it's
the worst.
just awful when that happens.
So you're in the middle of a presentation or something, and all of a
sudden, you could feel it coming, and it was bad for many years. I eventually went to a doctor and got hormone creams, and for a while that eased it, but just during COVID, I started feeling really bad, and that doctor had told me probably I need more estrogen. So I was looking, and had looked for a while for a doctor like you, and not to much success, unfortunately, in Houston. I've been to 4 or 5 different ones, and nothing really clicked. They tried to give me antidepressants. They tried to put me on birth control pills, all of that stuff.
Wow. So this is really interesting because this comes up so often. When you go to most doctors or many doctors and you say some of these symptoms, I'm not feeling well, I'm gaining weight, I'm not sleeping well, my mood is a little down, my libido's down, for example, first thing they do is they write you an antidepressant prescription. And that happens all the time, and it doesn't cure the problem, and they end up with more problems. So
I sort of instinctually knew that, and so I was looking around for another alternative to address all of this.
That also is an interesting comment because we have this little inner voice, and you heard it and said, that doesn't sound right. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't listen to that voice, and so many women just do what the doctor tells them. You know, women in our generation, we're sort of taught to believe what the doctor said, right? Or I was.
For sure.
So
for sure.
Questioning, that's a big step.
Yeah, for sure. And then I was lucky enough to hear you speak, and I went right back to my office and called and made an appointment.
That's right. I did a talk, and you were having to be in the audience. That's funny how that timing sometimes just works out.
Yes, and it's been, I have to say, it's been just so much better in every way. I feel like I've optimized my hormones now, and we got a thyroid situation under control that I never knew I had.
So common. And actually, the last testimonial interview that I did, same thing, had low thyroid that had not been diagnosed. And so common, and unless we dig into it really deeply, we just don't. I missed it so many times too as a physician when I was in regular practice because we weren't taught how to check it properly.
And it's interesting because it's been 9 months roughly, and I feel so much better. And I can tell this going from skiing. I just got back from skiing, and I can really tell a difference just in energy level. And
wow,
it's probably muscle mass too. I don't know. That's been increasing since I started. So I'm very, very happy with that.
So you were, just to recap, you were doing, first of all, you struggled through it without anything, which is awful. So the low estrogen causes all those symptoms you were mentioning, and then you tried some creams, which were sort of okay. But what often happens with creams, for those listeners who are using creams, it's not a bad idea. I mean, certainly if it's working, that's great. I tried them too, and it's a hassle. You've got to do it twice a day and then dry your arms and all of this stuff. And so the absorption's a little bit variable, which is probably why you found it worked somewhat, but not all the time. And then you transitioned over to pellets with us.
Yes, it's so much better. It's just immensely better. Almost immediately, within 48 hours, I felt like it was working way better than the creams ever had.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting that you mentioned that time period. The estradiol gets in our system in 2 to 3 days. So it's really fast that we feel better when we get pellets.
Yes, it was just amazing difference. It was like the clouds cleared.
Yeah, and some people say I had that feeling too, almost kind of like waking up, like, oh, I'm back. I've been in a fog all this time. So you're getting estradiol and testosterone in your pellet, and then you take progesterone at night.
Yes.
What else were you noticing, prior to this, as far as your intimacy and things like that?
Well, my libido that's one of the reasons I originally got the creams. And just before I came to you, that was, I was losing interest. Part of that had to do with pain, that serious pain I was having.
Oh, it's the worst.
With intercourse. And I had tried all kinds of stuff again, every lubricant known to man. Sometimes it made it worse. And just nothing worked. I was really getting desperate. My husband was not happy with that situation.
It's hard for everybody.
And, I hadn't been 100% honest with him either. I was embarrassed to tell him.
Oh.
But anyway, we did the Juliet Laser.
Oh, yes. So this is another story. So the Juliet Laser is another great treatment for vaginal dryness and pain, which you were experiencing. So you did the hormones and the Juliet, which is a great combination to do. Just for listeners, if you're doing estrogen only to treat vaginal dryness, it just takes a while. I mean, it does improve symptoms, but it can take a few months. So the Juliet's just a faster track to get it to feel better. So tell us about that. What was that like?
Well, it was interesting because I was a little fearful, but honestly, there was very minimal pain, if any. I've had Botox and fillers that hurt more than that.
Yeah, for sure.
And almost immediately after the first one, after you wait the period of days, I saw improvement. And then I went through, I think it's 3, right?
3 treatments a month apart, yeah.
And it's been great ever since. It's really an amazing procedure. And I
agree. I've had it done myself. I just think that's such an incredible technology. So Juliet Laser, and there's some other brands out there too, just a really great way to treat vaginal dryness and pain. If any listeners have that, we want that to go away. So estrogen is the foundation, but laser is also really helpful. And, when we're in that situation, we really want it to get better quickly because, like you said, it's sort of a 911 emergency for our relationships when not only does our libido go away, don't want to speak for you, but for many women, libido goes away and then it's going to hurt. So naturally we withdraw from it and then we don't want to talk about it. So it's not good for relationships.
No, it's terrible. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I feel like I have a new lease on life. It's really been great. And I mean, believe me, I would come back and do it again if it ever comes back. Hopefully it won't with the hormones. But if it does, I would without hesitation.
So I hope it won't either. And so the laser treatment, if you are not taking estrogen or if you're a cancer patient who can't take estrogen, you would have to repeat the laser, once a year or so. But patients on estrogen, usually one series is going to be it. Once the vagina is healthy again, the estrogen will keep it that way. So fingers crossed you won't have to do that again. It's going to stay like this.
That's great. I hope
so. So tell us a little bit more about how that changed your relationship. Because I'll share a little secret about you. You were married later in life, and so it was an exciting time to have a new intimate relationship, and then all of a sudden things start going south. That's really tough.
I mean, my husband's so thankful and so happy that I found Dr. Susan and came and got this fixed. I mean, it really was a terrible and distressing condition, and one that you don't really talk about with your girlfriends. Women are afraid to talk about. That's why I'm here. I feel like people shouldn't be so hesitant.
Yeah, I was so generous of you to share that because I know that I have experienced this. We have sometimes a feeling like something's wrong with me. Like I don't want to share this because I'm uniquely defective in some way, or I'm the only one who has this. And so because we keep that secret, we're keeping other people in the dark about the truth about it too, which is that it can absolutely be treated.
Yes,
and we don't want to put up with that.
That's such a great thing for women to find if they need it, and it really helped our relationship too. I'm not running away from him now.
Yay!
So he's very happy.
Well, there's this crazy idea in the culture that when you're in your 50s and 60s, that especially as a woman, that sex isn't important anymore.
Well, don't tell my husband that.
Yeah, me too. It really, I mean, I think we've just got to push through that. And so many of us, like we were talking about, we just sort of believe what the doctor says, like, oh, well, that's just menopause and too bad that's not going to be something you can enjoy anymore. And I think certainly in my mother's generation, that was believed.
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. I know with that generation, that's what they thought. And how sad.
So sad. I mean, I don't know for sure. My mom's 89, but I don't think she's probably had sex since she was 50.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a thing.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's such a big part of life, and we're going to live to be 100 years old, so it's certainly something we can still enjoy. But yeah, if it hurts and it's dry, it's awful.
Oh, it was just the worst. And I mean, I wonder how many women don't even know there's a solution.
Right, a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And you just think that that's the way it is. You're getting older. This is it. Mm-hmm. You better find a lubricant that works.
Yeah. Yeah, and lubricants are great Band-Aids, but you're putting something slippery over unhealthy tissue. So with this treatment, we're actually making the tissue healthier. So do you need a lubricant anymore?
I do on occasion, but nowhere near. I mean, it's just a totally different experience. It's that good of a procedure. I mean, this is a funny aside. My husband went and invested in the company because he was like, "This is," because I kept telling him, "This is amazing. That's
a really good
laser."
Idea. Yeah, it's made by Cutera. It's a Juliet Laser, and I don't get paid to say that, but I really do believe it's the best one in the market in the field. And they'll keep changing. Of course, they keep getting better all the time. But right now, that's the top of the line one to treat this, even though there's several other brands that work well too. So that got better, which is great. You mentioned the other symptoms that you were having, or some of them with the hormones. Like what have you noticed has changed? Like, so your hot flashes you mentioned went away. What other things?
Much better.
You notice?
Energy level is better. And I'm really happy to say I've been using your machine, your body composition machine, and I'm improving. I'm building more muscle. I still have a ways to go to lose the fat I want to lose, but I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. It's an amazing difference, and I have more energy, especially working out. I notice.
Yeah, that's such a good feeling, isn't it?
It's a great feeling.
I thought when this was happening to me, I was feeling weaker, and I was visibly losing muscle, even though I was doing a lot of exercise. It just feels so scary. Like, is this what's happening? I'm going to look like my 89-year-old mom, and there's nothing I can do about it. But I was also able to gain muscle and lose some fat without doing anything different, just eating well and exercising like we already do.
Yeah.
Just kind of gives you hope that, okay, this isn't the end. I've still got some good years left.
It's great, and I've really started to see it. And the weight's dropped a little, and I want to continue on, but I'm really excited about it. So
you told me a story before we started recording. You just came back from a ski trip.
Yes.
And you're skiing black slopes.
4. I think 4 total, but
oh my gosh.
But I started really strong, and then the snow changed, and I got a little, I fell a couple times at the end, but still I could do it.
I mean, so this just kind of this joy for life. And,
yes.
I think, in thinking about my mom's generation again, I don't think they were skiing black slopes in their 60s. They weren't. They were old.
They never went to a gym.
They didn't.
I promise you my mother never went to a gym.
Mine didn't either. But the concept that we're old when we're 50s or 60s or 70s, I mean, really we just have to sort of change that whole idea.
And we have to fight it. We have to go down fighting. That's what I intend to do anyway.
Yeah, in a graceful way. So,
with my pellets.
With your pellets, right. I say all the time, I'm going in the fire with mine. And there's no reason to stop. I'm actually, as I've talked about a lot, the science supports taking these throughout life, with rare exceptions. If you were to get breast cancer, we take you off the estrogen component for a little while, but other than that, we want to stay on it throughout a whole life, and we want to be skiing. I don't know if I'll be skiing blacks when I'm 80.
I don't know if I will
do it now.
That was just a fluke.
But just, that youthful feeling is so great, isn't it?
It is. It's made a huge difference. And I'll be really interested to see it 1 year, when I make the whole year, the difference.
Yeah.
When we do the body composition and all that.
Yeah, the body composition machine is really fun.
Oh, I think it's awesome.
When you own one, you can imagine. I had to make a rule. I don't get on it more than once a month. Otherwise, I'd be on that thing every single day. But if you do it, when you come in to get a pellet every 3.5 months or so, it's really fun to see, and you can feel it without seeing that data.
Can't feel it.
We like data, right? So you can actually see your muscle mass going up and your body fat going down, and kind of already know that's happening. But it's just kind of fun to see it.
It's so fun to see it.
I like to print mine out too and watch the little graphs.
Yeah, and I really studied it. It was super interesting.
It's really interesting.
When you look in there and look at all the numbers, what they mean. And
yeah, so if you're just standing on the scale, you don't always pick that up because you're very slim like me, and like I wasn't really gaining weight so much as just change. I just was feeling squishy
around the stomach,
right?
For me.
Me too. So the scale didn't show much difference, but my waist was bigger, my pants were too tight, and my arms were skinny. And I have teenagers, and they said something like, "Why are your arms so flabby?" I just felt different, and you're wearing a strapless dress and the fat hanging over.
That's right.
But the scale doesn't always pick it up, so body composition is really helpful because it shows how much fat and muscle we have.
Yes, I just loved it, and it's something that I've never paid attention to really before. I was always so obsessed with the number on the scale.
Yeah.
And now with that, you see, there's much more to it.
Yeah, it is really cool.
It's great.
So yeah, we love it too. That's why we have it here. So a lot of women in our age group are still scared of hormones. 20 years ago, we were taught that hormones cause cancer, and many of us still have that idea. Like, what would you tell a woman who's listening to this, and maybe she's having a lot of symptoms, but she's still scared and doesn't want to do it?
Oh, I would tell them to come and do it. And in fact, I have told many of my friends, and sometimes they're resistant for various reasons, but hopefully some of them will listen and go do their own reading.
Yeah, you have to. You really have to advocate for yourself, don't you? Because if you sort of follow the common path currently, and hopefully, I'm sure this will change as time goes on, because this is just true and it's scientifically proven that this is good for us for so many things. But it takes years for people and doctors to change their mind when a new idea is introduced, and so we're still in that middle period, and you're an early adopter.
Always have
so. Yeah, it's interesting is that our patients frequently do have that early adopter personality. This is one of the reasons I really appreciate what you're doing here, is sharing it with people, because a lot of women are still suffering.
Oh, they suffer so much, and I just hope it's helpful to people.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's going to be really helpful. So I can't wait to see what happens in a year either. I have so much fun when patients come in and just watching results continue to get better and hearing these stories. And I have this similar story myself. It's like, happened to me, so it can happen to you too. If you're suffering like this, you don't have to.
Yeah, that's the best news.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. You can't see her face, but she looks amazing. This woman is actually 60.
You're so welcome.
And we'll just enjoy watching you get older and look younger as time goes on.
Absolutely. That sounds great to me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.